In a grand kingdom far away, there lived two beautiful princesses, Princess Alma and Princess Imo. Though they were sisters, their hearts were very different. Princess Alma is humble and loved by everyone in the palace. She is so kind that she helps in tending to some duties in the palace, and the servants all doted on her. Princess Imo, on the other hand, is proud and arrogant. She loves herself a bit too much, and her beauty got to her head. She would mock anything she felt was ugly and look down on anyone below her social class. She has the servants at her beck and call for all her daily needs and never assists in any duty around the palace. One faithful day, the two princesses went for a ride in the forest, a regular activity they embark on every week. On their way back, an unforeseen windstorm struck the forest, and the princesses were separated from their entourage. The windstorm blew them deep into the forest, far away from home. As the storm quietened, the princesses came out from their high hiding place, stranded and confused. They called out loudly for help, but no one answered. At that point, it dawned on them that they might be lost. Princess Imo broke down in tears. "It is almost time for my beauty session. I need to find my way back immediately. I cannot afford to miss a session, else I might turn into an ugly duckling like the maids," she cried. Princess Alma was surprised at her sister's trivial worries at that point in time. She instead prayed silently that they would find a clue that could lead them back to their home safely. As the sun was beginning to set, the princesses, exhausted and hungry, sat at the root of a tree in the heart of the forest. An ugly bird with ragged feathers and a crooked beak landed on a nearby branch. "I can help you find your way home," the bird offered in a raspy voice. Princess Imo looked at the bird and laughed mockingly. "Why would I listen to an ugly bird like you? Get away from me. I will wait for a beautiful bird to guide me home." Princess Alma cautioned her sister for speaking rudely to the bird. She acknowledged the bird's kindness and said, "Please show us the way back to our home. Our people would be so worried about us." The ugly bird nodded in agreement and asked the princesses to follow him closely behind. The bird led Princess Alma and Princess Imo through the thick forest until they came to an intersection with two roads ahead. The shiny road on the right is beautiful, but it has a lot of distractions. You might get carried away if you take this route. You must not touch anything. If you forge ahead, resisting the temptation, you might find your way at the end of the road, the bird said, pointing to the shiny road. The road on the left, however, is shorter but narrow and ugly. Your clothes will get soggy, and it will lead you through a thorny path that you must endure. At the end of it, you will find your home, the bird said, pointing to the rough, muddy road on the left. The bird wished them luck and flew up into the sky. Princess Alma suggested to her sister that they take the ugly road that is shorter, but her sister Imo ignored her and went down the path that is shiny. Princess Alma walked down the ugly road and soon came into the thorny forest. She endured the thorns, her clothes soaked with the muddy soil beneath her feet. She fought her way through it all until she stumbled out into an open field, and right ahead was the palace in the far distance. She smiled gratefully and headed down to her home to reunite with their family. Princess Imo, who took the shiny, beautiful pathway, continued down the road, amazed at the beautiful scenery. She came into a garden filled with beautiful flowers and shimmering butterflies. She was amazed at how beautiful everything looked. "If only Alma had followed me down this road, she would have been privileged as well to behold this beauty," she thought to herself as she remembered her sister, who went down the ugly pathway. As she was admiring the beauty of the garden, she sighted a butterfly that was ugly with a pale color. "What are you doing in this beautiful garden, you ugly butterfly?" she screamed angrily at the butterfly. "This is not a place for creatures like you." Princess Imo stomped angrily at the butterfly with her feet, killing it. Just immediately, the beautiful garden began to transform into a dark, gloomy forest. Princess Imo became confused. She looked around to realize everything had turned pale, and the flowers were withering. The ground turned very dirty and muddy, beginning to soak up the hem of her dress. Disgusted and terrified, she ran down the road, hoping to find her way out of the withering forest, until she stumbled upon a river. She looked down at her beautiful dress to see that it had soaked up the soggy ground, and she decided to rinse it out at the river. Princess Imo bent down at the riverbank, and she caught a reflection of herself in the water. Her face had transformed, looking as ugly as anything she had ever seen. She was taken aback. She slumped on the ground and cried her heart out. "What is happening to my beautiful face? How did this happen?" she sobbed bitterly. Just as she was crying her eyes out, the ugly bird they had met earlier perched on a stone close to the river. She lifted her teary eyes and saw the bird. At that point, she realized how terrible it must feel for someone to be mocked for their looks. "I shouldn't have mocked you. I have been arrogant all my life, and I just realized how much pain I would have caused people as a result. I am deeply sorry," Imo sobbed bitterly. The ugly bird was convinced that she had turned a new leaf, and so it said, "You are forgiven, Imo. You must be kind to others and be humble enough to not mock people who do not have the privileges you enjoy. I hope you have learned your lessons. You can head down the road to the left," the bird continued. "It will lead you to the thorny forest, and just after the forest is your home. Your beautiful face will be restored on your way back." Princess Imo thanked the bird and headed down the ugly, narrow pathway. She got to the thorny forest and endured the discomfort without complaints. At the end of the road, she came out into an open field, and just ahead, she sighted her home. She was grateful to the bird for the encounter that had changed her life as she hurried down to reunite with her family. In the coming days, Princess Imo's immense transformation became the topic of discussion at every corner of the palace. The royal servants were amazed at how humble and kind she had become and wondered what must have transpired while she was lost in the forest. Her sister, Princess Amma, was very happy too and spent more time teaching Imo how to attend to some chores around the palace. The princesses continued to grow in wisdom, grateful for the experience that brought them closer again and shaped a better future for them and their kingdom. This is the end of my story. I hope you learned something from this story. Please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button. Be a part of my growth. Turn on the notifications so that when I post more interesting stories, you'll be the first to get them. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your consistent support.